Now let's talk about building your email messages. And the first thing I kind of talked about, if you're a product selling salesperson a few minutes ago, well, first of all, if you're a product selling salesperson, you're probably going to end up sending emails that look something like this. This is who I'm with. This is what we sell. This is what it does or how it works. Maybe you might talk about this is how it costs or what the purchase is like. And most likely your message is focused on the goal of trying to close the sale. So I'll give you an example of what one of these emails looks like. Now, this is a fictitious email that I just put together. But hi, Michael. I'm with Websites Redesign for You, and we provide website redesign, digital marketing, pay-per-click advertising, search engine optimization. Are you looking to redesign your website? Let me know when you're available for a 20 to 30 minute meeting where we can discuss how our services work. I left a word off there at the end. So, and that's the entire email. Now, to be honest with you, this is the structure of emails I get every day. Honestly, they're usually longer than this. So I'm being actually generous to the salespeople that send me these emails because there's usually more product information and more company information. But the flow is very common. This is who I work for. This is what we sell. And then here's a big thing regarding, I said that the product selling salesperson focuses on closing the sale. Are you looking to redesign your website? So that question is completely aligned with the goal of closing the sale. Even knowing I can't reply to the email and say, yes, I want to purchase. We would need to talk. We would need to meet. There would be paperwork, whatever. But that question is aligned with, this is what I sell. Do you need what I sell? Yes or no, right? And this is extremely common. So the reality is, well, going back to the previous tip of don't sell the meeting, sell the product. This is totally an example of selling the product. So I'm going to show you some examples that don't do this, but while we're looking at this breaks a few rules. One is it's all about the salesperson. The salesperson cares about selling their product. If they were to sell me any of these services, they would make money. That excites them. They're really excited to tell me about what they sell, and the meeting they want to schedule is for them to tell me about what they sell and to tell me all about them. This email is not about me at all. So just a few of the don'ts and do's that are broken or this doesn't align with. Well, by the way, it's very understandable to send emails like this because this aligns with your natural instincts. This is what you care about. This might even also be what you've been trained to do or trained on, because if you've been trained on your product and then you're given a territory, you need to go generate leads, and now you're going to send emails to generate leads, you're going to talk about the stuff you've been trained on, which is the product. So it's very understandable. Now let me give you the other option and the other way to create other emails that might be another option for you. And it goes back to the consultative selling sales message, which is what we discussed in chapter 3, which instead of talking about the company and the product, we're going to focus on the improvements that the product delivers for the buyer that we're targeting. We're going to focus on the prospect's pain points that we can help to resolve. We're going to focus on questions that look to see if the prospect needs what we sell in terms of having the pain points that we solve. We might share a customer example of someone else we've helped. And we can get into product details. My advice would be, well, regarding the consultative selling sales message, it's not, at some point you do want to talk about the product, but the logic here is, let's talk about the prospect first and then talk about the product later. What that looks like in a cold call is we're going to spend most of the cold call on the prospect and the end on the product, just enough so we can sell the prospect on talking in the form of a meeting. What this looks like in an email series is that we might get to talk about the product in one of our later emails. Because remember, we're going to tell a story over a series of emails, and maybe one of the later emails we can get to the product. But even when we get to the product, you can notice that we're a little more sophisticated when we talk about the product versus the other side where it's, this is the company I work for, this is what I sell. When we talk about the product on the consultative selling side, yeah, we might get into some features, but we're going to talk about how we're different. We could talk about ROI we can deliver. We're going to talk about some company bragging points and whatnot. So, and instead of, do you need what I sell? Yes, no. We're more focused on trying to close the prospect on starting a conversation or selling the prospect on moving to the next step of our sales process. Let's build some email messages. I'm going to show you some email message examples that you can use. First, we need some topics or how to divide our consultative selling sales message across a series of emails. Well, guess what? We can use that exact same list and we could create an email for each item here. So we could create a benefits email, a pain points email, a name drop email, and whatnot. Let's talk about subject lines. So a big question that comes into me is, what are good subject lines to use? What are good subject lines that get prospects to open the emails? What are good subject lines that get prospects to reply to your emails? Well, first of all, to answer that question, notice that a few of those questions are aligned with the stuff that I said is really difficult, right? It's really difficult to figure the magic recipe that gets the prospect to read the email. It's really difficult to get the reply. Well, what we could do is focus on creating email subject lines that decrease the instant delete, right? If there are subject lines that a prospect sees and they have confidence to instantly delete it, that's bad. So if we can minimize mistakes on that side, then what that does is that might not get the prospect to see the subject line and open the email, but it keeps us in the game so that our email's still alive, and then we can then hopefully the prospect will open the email because they haven't instantly deleted it. So we're almost looking for subject lines that are a little bit more benign, meaning they're just kind of neutral. Maybe they even describe the general area that we're coming from. Like, we don't want to be totally vague, and we don't want to be too promotional or too salesy. So something in the middle, something that kind of just generally says what we're reaching out about. And what works great is that same list. So we could use a value point for a subject line, a pain point that we help to solve for a subject line, a point about how we're different for a subject line. So the same list that we use to create our email messages, those individual points usually make good subject lines as well. So let's go through. I have a handful of email messages I can share with you. So an email message, a cold email that's designed around your value points building block might look something like this. So the subject line, we just stick one of our value points in the subject line. So like a value point for my services and my product is decreasing sales staff turnover. I could use as a subject line, decreasing sales staff turnover. Just that. No exclamation points, no emoticons, just that. No all caps. And so let's look at what an email might look like. Hello, contact first name. The reason for the email is we help sales managers to decrease sales staff turnover, improve reps' ability to generate leads and new accounts, improve the sales performance of the sales team overall. I don't know if you want to improve any of those areas, and that's why I'm reaching out. Are you available for a 15-20 minute meeting where I can share some examples how we've helped other VPs of sales to decrease sales staff turnover? Best regards, Michael Halper. So just to look at this real quick, very economical on the word count. You might even look at that and say, it's kind of plain. It's plain by design. We have plenty of information to share, and this is where most salespeople go wrong, is they put everything they want to say in one email, and then it's extremely long. Then that email gets instantly deleted just because it was long. Then the salesperson doesn't have anything left to say in email 2, so then they end up sending the email message of, did you receive my last email? Let me know if you have time to meet, as their email number 2. So we don't need to say everything because we know there's more emails coming. So this is just part of the story. This is the value part of your story. The other thing is that there's a sales takeaway here, which is I don't know if you want to improve those areas. So we've talked a little bit already in the Smart Sales System about sales takeaway. We're going to drill into the logic behind doing a takeaway towards the end when we talk about closing. But this is a very good touch to kind of decrease the guardedness of the prospect. And then there's the close of going for the meeting, not asking if they need what they sell. By the way, if you go for the meeting, you greatly increase the odds of a fit and a match versus going for the close of does the prospect need what I sell today? If we go back to the website design service, if you're saying, do you need what I sell today? What you're doing is you're creating a very small target. There might be a large pool of prospects that you could that have a reason to talk to you, but if your question is, do you need what I sell today? You greatly shrink that target and you make it very specific. So by going for the meeting, not only is that a more logical thing to close for, because that's the next thing. I'm not gonna sell to you over email. The next step is to talk. So let close for the talking. Not only is it more logical, not only is it less pushy and less sales product pushing, but it also increases the target because you're less specific about what you're trying to close for. Cold email pain points. Almost the exact same email, just changing out the value points for pain points, and a few other words are changed. We help sales managers with the challenges of pain point 1, 2, 3. I don't know if you are concerned about any of those areas, and that's why I'm reaching out. Same close and whatnot. So that's the pain points email. We can use your name drop building block. The subject line is maybe the improvement that you delivered for a previous customer. Hello, Mary. The reason for the email is we worked with XYZ Corp and helped them to decrease their sales staff turnover by 25%. This ultimately helped them to improve their overall sales by 13%. I don't know if we can help you in that same way, and that's why I'm reaching out. Sales takeaway, same close. Are you available for a 15-20-minute meeting? Best regards. Name dropping cold email. This is a pain questions cold email. Now, I will admit that this is not a strong email, and if you were only going to send one email, you would not send this email by itself. But if you've already sent the previous emails, and this is email number 4, it's an okay email. And it's better than just the, hey, did you see my last emails? So this email goes something like this. I'm trying to determine if we can help you in the same way we've helped other clients. These are some of the questions I would ask you to figure that out. And then there's your pain questions. Do any of those connect with a challenge or interest that you have? If so, let's put a few minutes on the calendar for a brief conversation. Best regards. This is email number 5, and this is now we're getting to the product, right? So maybe we haven't had a reply yet, so now we're just going to start to get to what we're interested in talking to them about. We try to make it about them. Now we're going to make it about us. The reason for the email is we provide product, and that includes feature 1, feature 2, feature 3. Some ways we differ from other options out there are differentiation 1, 2, 3. Are you interested in a 15-20-minute meeting? Best regards. So we're getting into some product details here, but at least we waited before we hit them with that. And then we are focusing on more sophisticated product details by getting to the differentiation. This is just a template. So if you have certain things about your product, I mean, maybe it might not make sense for you to mention features. Maybe you have different products or services you want to mention. This is just a template for you to build on. Here's a last attempt email. So maybe you've sent those other 5 emails and you still haven't heard back. So this might be your walk away message. Subject line, checking in. Never heard back from you. I thought I would follow up with you one last time. The reason I'm trying to connect, the reason I'm reaching out is that we help other VPs of sales with here's some benefits. If I don't hear back from you, I'll assume you're not interested in those improvements or that you aren't the right person to speak with, and I'll close the file. If I should be contacting someone else regarding this, any pointing in the right direction would be greatly appreciated. Best regards, and whatnot. Now, so those are 6 cold emails you could send. Now, I do want to point out, I mentioned to you, don't sell the product, sell the meeting. I do recognize that every salesperson is unique. So your situation might be unique, and some of our tips you might take and some of them you might disregard. And with that, I will recognize that some salespeople sell a very commonly sold product. And there's no sophistication to the sales process. There's no reason to have any meetings. You are just blasting people and looking for the people that need what you sell right now. And I call this the keep me in mind email. So it's basically you're sending an email, letting them know what you sell, and sending this so that they keep you in mind because you know that they buy it from time to time and you want them to have your info. So here's what this email looks like. Keep us in mind, and then maybe put a hyphen or a dash, and then what you sell. Since you are a VP of sales, you might need or purchase, and then insert what you sell from time to time. We provide that, so please keep us in mind when you're ready to make a purchase or a change. Some ways we differ from other options out there are differentiation 1, differentiation 2, differentiation 3. Let me know if you reach a point where you would like to put a brief call to discuss. Best regards, and then your signature. Now, you could even coach them. I wanted to keep this email brief, but there's a version of this where I've even included in the bottom. If you can hang on to this email or store it away in your vendor folder, that way you can keep us in mind when you're ready to make a change, something like that. So you're coaching the prospect to keep you in mind. Now, I personally believe in using the other emails where you're selling the meeting, you're trying to start a conversation versus this. But if you just want to do you need what I sell today? This is a good email